poems that have inspired a huge number of artists. I think because they are so wonderfully vivid that artists immediately can see scenes in their imaginations that they want to put down on paper. And I think one of those poems is Keats's magnificent, haunting, and rather mysterious La Belle Dame sans Merci. It was published in the year 1819. Let me share it with you. La Belle Dame sans Merci. Oh, what can ail thee, knight at arms, alone and palely loitering? The sedge has withered from the lake, and no birds sing. Oh, what can ail thee, knight at arms, so haggard and so woe-begone? The squirrel's granary is full, and the harvest's done. I see a lily on thy brow, and anguish moist, and fever dew, and on thy cheeks a fading rose fast withereth too. I met a lady in the meads, full beautiful, a fairy's child. Her hair was long, her foot was light, and her eyes were wild. I made a garland for her head, and bracelets too, and fragrant zone. She looked at me as she did love, and made sweet moan. I set her on my pacing steed, and nothing else saw all day long, for sidelong would she bend and sing a fairy's song. She found me roots of relish sweet, and honey wild, and manna dew, and sure in language strange she said, I love thee true. She took me to her elfin grot, and there she wept and sighed full sore, and there I shut her wild, wild eyes with kisses for, and there she lulled me asleep, and there I dreamed, ah, woe betide, the latest dream I ever dreamt on the cold hillside. I saw pale kings and princes too, pale warriors, death pale were they all. They cried, La Belle Dame sans Merci, have thee in thrall. I saw their starved lips in the gloam, with horrid warning gaped wide, and I awoke and found me here on the cold hillside. And this is why I sojourn here, alone and palely loitering, though the sedge is withered from the lake and no birds sing. That poem has been beautifully illustrated. I think my particular favourite is a painting by Sir Frank Dixie. It captures the manic look in the knight's eyes, showing how enchanted he is by this beautiful lady. I think the colours are magnificent. It's one of my very favourite works of art. Now, John Keats wrote that poem in 1819. By this time, he was not very well. He had been on a walking tour in Scotland, and he had come back with a very bad cough. He had also nursed his young brother Tom through tuberculosis. Tom died when he was still a very young man. So Keats, who had originally trained as a doctor, knew that there was a very good chance he could have tuberculosis as well. And tragically, that proved to be the case. But before he died, Keats had what is known as his great year of creativity. It's really the year from the middle of 1819 through to late 1820. And it was during this time that he wrote so many of his most famous poems. All of those great odes, Ode on a Grecian Urn, Ode to Autumn, Ode on Melancholy, Ode on Psyche, Ode to a Nightingale. He also wrote the memorable poem The Eve of St. Agnes, a poem that always makes me feel really cold when I read it, because he describes the chill of midwinter so magnificently. And he wrote La Belle Dame sans Merci. Keats then went off to Rome in the hopes that the warmer weather there might help to stave off the progress of the terrible disease. And there, in a very moving place that you can visit today, it is now the Keats Shelley Museum in Rome, John Keats died, still a very young man, in February 1821. He enriched English poetry so hugely. On his grave in the Protestant cemetery in Rome are the words, "Here lies one whose name was written water. Poor Keats felt that perhaps he would not be remembered as a poet after his death. But fortunately, he was wrong. He is regarded as one of the 5 great Romantic poets, and his contribution to English literature is immeasurable. I hope you've enjoyed one of my favourites of his poems today. Do let me know if you have another Keats poem that you prefer to La Belle Dame, or if you have others that you just simply love because they were written by the great John Keats.